Imagine diving straight down at 500 miles an hour, the ground spinning up at you, enemy fighters scrambling to get out of your way. That's what P-47 pilots did, again and again, turning the tables on the Luftwaffe and racking up a kill ratio that left the enemy stunned. But how did these young Americans figure out the secret of the straight-down dive? And what happened when the Germans started to catch on? This is the real story of the Thunderbolt's deadliest move, and the pilots who risked everything to master it. It's 1944, and the sky over Europe is a wild, dangerous place. You're a young American pilot, barely out of high school, strapped into the cockpit of a P-47 Thunderbolt. The engine's roar is deafening, the air is cold, and your heart is pounding so hard you can feel it in your teeth. You know the enemy is out there. Maybe a Messerschmitt, maybe a Focke-Wulf, maybe both. You scan the clouds, searching for a flash of sunlight on metal, a shadow where there shouldn't be one. Suddenly, you spot them. A flight of German fighters circling below, waiting for a chance to pounce on the bombers you're supposed to protect. You know what you have to do. You grip the stick, push the throttle forward, and point the nose of your Thunderbolt straight down. The world tilts, the sky becomes a blur, and the ground rushes up at you like a freight train. This isn't just a wild move, it's a tactic. The P-47 is a beast, built like a flying tank, and it can dive faster than almost anything else in the sky. You feel the G-forces press you into your seat as the airspeed climbs past 400, then 500 miles per hour. The controls get heavy, the wings start to shudder, but you hold your nerve. You're coming in hot, and the Germans don't even see you yet. You line up your shot, squeeze the trigger, and the 850 caliber machine guns in your wings erupt in a thunderous roar. Tracers streak past your canopy, and for a split second you see a German fighter explode in a ball of fire. You don't stick around to watch. You pull back on the stick, feel the Thunderbolt shudder as it claws its way back up into the sky, and you're gone before the enemy can react. Your heart is still racing, your hands are shaking, but you're alive. You just pulled off a boom and zoom, a straight-down dive, a quick, deadly attack, and a climb back to safety. It's a move that's changing the air war, and it's giving P-47 pilots an edge no one saw coming. But how did these young pilots figure out that diving straight down was the key to survival, and to racking up those incredible kill ratios? What made the P-47 so good at this, and why couldn't the enemy keep up? The answer isn't just about speed or firepower. It's about guts, innovation, and a little bit of luck. And as the war goes on, the legend of the Thunderbolt and the men who fly it will only grow. But what happens when the enemy starts to catch on? Can the P-47 pilots keep their edge? Or will the Germans find a way to turn the tables? That's where the story gets even more interesting. The next morning, you're back in the briefing tent, sipping coffee that tastes like mud and listening to the old-timers talk. They're swapping stories about yesterday's mission, about the dive, the rush, the way the Thunderbolt just seemed to shrug off the bullets. One guy, a farm kid from Iowa, grins as he tells how he dove so fast his goggles nearly flew off. Another, a city boy from Brooklyn, brags about how he boomed and zoomed right through a whole gaggle of FW-190s and came out without a scratch. You can feel the excitement in the air. The new tactic is working. The P-47's dive speed is a game changer. The Germans are used to dogfights, turning, twisting, trying to get on your tail. But the Thunderbolt doesn't play by those rules. It's too heavy, too fast, too tough. When you dive straight down, you're not just attacking, you're dictating the fight. You get to choose when to strike and when to disappear. But there's a catch. Diving at those speeds isn't easy. The controls get stiff, the airframe groans, and if you're not careful, you can black out or even lose a wing. Some guys talk about compressibility, that weird, terrifying moment when the plane feels like it's flying through concrete and nothing responds. You hear about one pilot who dove so fast he couldn't pull out, barely managing to level off before he hit the trees. It's dangerous, but it's also thrilling, and every time you pull it off, you feel like you've cheated death. The squadron commander, a grizzled major with a scar on his chin, stands up and clears his throat. "Listen up, boys," he says. "The Germans are starting to wise up. They're flying higher, trying to catch us before we dive. They're getting jumpy. But remember, altitude is your friend. Stay high, stay fast, and don't get sucked into a turning fight. Use your speed. Use your dive. That's how we win. You nod, feeling a mix of nerves and pride. You know the enemy is adapting, but so are you. Every mission is a test, every dogfight a lesson. The P-47 isn't just a machine. It's a partner, a shield, a weapon that gives you a fighting chance. As you walk out to the flight line, the sun rising over the airfield, you wonder what today will bring. Will the Germans try something new? Will you get another shot at a boom and zoom? The only way to find out is to climb into the cockpit, fire up that big engine, and take to the sky. But as you strap in and taxi out, you can't help but wonder, how long can this streak last? Can the Thunderbolt and its pilots keep racking up those kills, or is the enemy about to change the game again? The suspense hangs in the air, as heavy as the morning mist. You're climbing through the clouds now, engine roaring, eyes scanning the horizon. The radio crackles with chatter, reports of enemy fighters, bombers, flak. You check your instruments, glance at your wingman, and settle in for the long wait. Up here at 20,000 feet, you feel like you're on top of the world. But you know the real action is about to start. Suddenly the call comes in. "Bandits, 3 o'clock low!" Your heart jumps. You spot them, German fighters weaving below, looking for an opening. You remember the briefing, stay high, keep your speed, and wait for your moment. You circle, watching, feeling the tension build. The enemy is hunting, but so are you. Then you see it. A lone Messerschmitt breaks away, climbing toward your formation. This is it. You roll the Thunderbolt over, nose down, and the world tilts. The dive is steep, almost vertical. The wind screams past your canopy, the controls stiffen, and your vision narrows. You line up the shot, squeeze the trigger, and the 50 caliber guns hammer out a stream of fire. The German plane shudders, smoke trailing from its engine, and you pull back hard, feeling the G-forces press you into your seat. You climb, fast and hard, back to altitude. Your wingman is right behind you, grinning. "Nice shooting," he says over the radio. You can't help but smile. The boom and zoom worked again. The Germans never saw it coming. But as you level off, you notice something. The enemy isn't giving up. More fighters are circling, trying to climb, trying to catch you before you can dive again. You realize the game is changing. The Germans are learning, adapting, getting more aggressive. The easy kills are gone. Now, every dive is a risk, every attack a gamble. You feel a knot in your stomach. You know the Thunderbolt can take a beating, but you also know you're not invincible. You've seen friends go down, shot up, flak-riddled, lost in the clouds. The war is a deadly dance and the music never stops. Still, you trust your plane. You trust your training. You trust the tactics that have brought you this far. The straight-down dive isn't just a trick. It is your best chance to survive, to win, to make it home. You grip the stick, eyes on the horizon, and get ready for the next attack. But as you circle above the battlefield, you can't help but wonder. How many more times can you dive and climb before your luck runs out? What happens when the enemy finally figures out how to counter your moves? The suspense is real, and the answer is waiting in the clouds below. You're back on the ground, boots in the mud, sweat drying on your brow. The day's mission is over, and the squadron gathers around the battered old table in the tent, swapping stories and counting bullet holes. Someone's got a fresh tear in his flight suit, another guy's got a new dent in his wing, but everyone's alive. That's what matters. The talk turns to the numbers. The kill board is filling up. Another Messerschmitt, another Focke-Wulf, another day when the P-47s came home with more victories than losses. The mechanics slap you on the back, proud of the Thunderbolt's toughness. "She'll bring you home," they say, even with half a wing shot off. You believe them. You've seen it. But there's a quiet moment too, when you remember the ones who didn't make it. The empty bunks, the letters that never got sent. The war is a game of odds, and even with a 19-to-1 kill ratio, every pilot knows he's rolling the dice every time he dives. You think about the tactics, the boom and zoom, the straight-down dives, the way you use altitude and speed to your advantage. It's not just about being brave, it's about being smart, about knowing your plane and trusting your instincts. The P-47 can take punishment, but it is your job to make sure you don't have to test that too often. Someone asks, how long can we keep this up? The room goes quiet for a second. Then the old-timer with the scar on his chin grins and says, "As long as we've got thunderbolts and guts, boys. As long as we remember why we're up there." You nod, feeling the weight of it all. The fear, the pride, the hope that tomorrow you'll get another chance to dive, to fight, to come home. The war isn't over, and the enemy is still out there, learning, adapting, waiting for you to make a mistake. But for now, you've got the edge. You've got the tactics, the training, and the toughest bird in the sky. And as you drift off to sleep, you wonder, what new challenge will tomorrow bring? Will the straight-down dive keep you alive one more day, or will the enemy finally find a way to turn the tables? The suspense lingers, and you know the only way to find out is to climb back into the cockpit and face the sky again. Morning comes early, and with it, a new sense of tension. The weather is clear, the airfield buzzing with activity. You check your Thunderbolt, running your hand along the battered fuselage, feeling the scars from yesterday's fight. The mechanics give you a thumbs up. She's ready. You climb in, heart pounding, and wait for the signal. Today's mission is different. Intelligence says the Germans are massing fighters for a big push. The briefing is short and sharp. Stay high. Watch for ambushes. Remember, your dive is your best weapon. You nod, but you can't help but wonder, will the enemy finally have an answer for your tactics? You take off, climbing fast, the world falling away beneath you. The squadron forms up, engines humming in perfect rhythm. The radio crackles with nervous jokes and last-minute reminders. You scan the sky, searching for that first glint of sunlight on a wing. Then it happens. A swarm of enemy fighters appears, higher than before, trying to catch you off guard. For a split second, you feel a jolt of fear. Have they figured it out? Are they waiting for you to dive? But you remember your training. You remember the Thunderbolt's strength. You roll over, nose down, and commit to the dive. The air screams past your canopy, the controls stiffen, but you hold steady. The enemy tries to follow, but their planes can't match your speed. You line up a shot, fire, and watch as a German fighter spirals away in smoke. You pull out, climbing hard, and see your wingman do the same. The enemy is scattered, their attack broken. The straight-down dive still works. The Thunderbolt's speed and toughness save you again. Back at base, the kill board gets another mark. The old-timer grins, but there's a new respect in his eyes. "They're learning," he says quietly. "But so are we." You realize that the war in the air is a constant race. Tactics, technology, courage, and luck all tangled together. The P-47's dive isn't just a trick. It's a lifeline, a way to survive and win in a sky where the rules change every day. As you walk away from your plane, you wonder what tomorrow will bring. Will the enemy finally find a way to counter your moves? Or will you and your Thunderbolt find a new way to stay one step ahead? The suspense is still there, and you know the only answer is to keep flying, keep fighting, and keep trusting in the dive that's brought you this far. The days blur together, each one a mix of adrenaline and exhaustion. You start to notice how the squadron has changed. The rookies who once fumbled with their gear now move with quiet confidence. The old hands, who used to bark orders, now share tips and stories, passing down the lessons that keep everyone alive. The straight-down dive has become second nature, a move you trust as much as your own instincts. But the enemy is always watching, always adapting. One afternoon, as you're circling high above the clouds, you spot a formation of German fighters flying in a tight, disciplined group. They're not chasing bombers this time. They're hunting you. You feel a chill run down your spine. The game has changed again. You climb higher, searching for an opening. The Germans try to bait you, feinting attacks, hoping you'll break formation and dive too soon. But you wait. You remember the Major's words? Patience wins fights. When the moment comes, you roll over and dive. But this time you zigzag, making yourself a harder target. The enemy tries to follow, but their planes shudder and fall behind. You pick your shot, fire, and see another enemy plane go down. Back at base, the mood is different. The kill board is still impressive, but everyone knows the margin for error is shrinking. The Germans are getting smarter, tougher, more desperate. The war is grinding on, and every mission feels like a test. One night, as you sit around the fire with your crew, someone asks, "What happens when the dive isn't enough?" The question hangs in the air. You all know the answer. You adapt, you learn, you find a new edge. That's what it means to be a Thunderbolt pilot. You think about the men who didn't make it, the friends you've lost, the close calls you've survived. You remember the first time you dove straight down, the fear and the thrill, the way the world seemed to fall away. You know you'll do it again tomorrow and the next day and the day after that, because that's what keeps you alive. The suspense never really goes away. Every dawn brings a new challenge, a new enemy, a new chance to prove yourself. And as long as you have your Thunderbolt, your training, and your nerve, you know you'll keep fighting, straight down and straight back up. If you enjoyed this story of guts and innovation in the skies, hit like and subscribe for more untold Op-by-Way 2 tales. What do you think was the boldest tactic of the air war? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and join the conversation with fellow history fans. Thanks for watching and keep your eyes on the skies.